probably in each of the fucking remasters. Well, I guess it's usually Skyrim that gets remastered, not Oblivion. Oh, they just re-release the game on every new console that comes out. Hmm. Half a remake, yeah. Mm-hmm. I bet you it's more of a remake than fucking Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, but that's neither here nor there. Hmm. Hell yeah. You dropped it out of nowhere. Fucking shadow release. Right. Hell yeah. Sweet. Well, we're going to start off Kirby Joseph, 4-year, $86 million extension, just now. Travis Hunter Sr. is going to be attending the draft in person. He got clearance from the court to do that. Twitch is soon going to let you create clips while continuing to watch the stream. That seems like something that should have been done a long time ago. Sorry, just live on the red app, not the purple app, Shout out Twitter algorithms. Alright, do you want to go first, or do you want me to kick it off? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yep. Well, we'll have a conversation. But, yeah, I think I agree, generally speaking, with where you're at on it. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that the Titans have decided that they don't want to do this, and they're just lying. But it's teams that pick at number one normally don't have the same level of smoke and mirrors as everything else. We've seen historically that teams that are picking at one overall, like, for the most part, everybody knew that the Panthers were taking Bryce Young. Everybody knew it's pretty set in stone. Yeah. you're right. He kind of came onto the scene late that year. I don't want to say that like he was an unknown prospect, but like the combine helped him tremendously, and I just feel like a lot of the athletic stuff continued to show up as we got closer and closer to the draft. And obviously, that was like a month plus out, right? Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I think this and what you were kind of getting to, this is going to be a really weird year because there's not much that I consider to be chalk at this point, and like Cam Ward might be the most chalk pick in the draft. I mean, we've been talking for weeks about how Mason Graham is chalk to the Jaguars, and now Mason Graham might not be chalk to the Jaguars. Like, is that more smoke and mirrors, or is it just I don't know. I feel like it makes sense because when you look at the Jaguars team, where's the biggest gaping hole? It's still defensive line. Um, but mhm, oh yeah, 100%. I gave him Tet. Yep. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. They're still picking high in the second, so yeah. I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens, and I think that there's potential for some really off the wall shit to happen, and I think that there's potential for some crazy trades to happen too. Um, and yeah, I mean, we've heard now. I don't know for how long, but basically, once you get past the top 12 picks, everybody for the next like 12 through 15 or 13 through 15 or whatever is like similarly valued players. Like comparing, right, right, yep, yeah, exactly. Um, Again, it's hard for me to call this pick chalk at this point, but based off of everything that I've seen, it certainly sounds like the Browns are heading in this direction and going to take Travis Hunter at 2. So that's what I'm going to lock in on my version of our predictive mock, and I'll send it back over to you. Mm-hmm. Well, I took Ward and then Hunter, so now you're up with the Giants, and then I'll go for Giants Patriots. You're good. Or try to trade back into the first later and give up Thibodeau and your second round pick or something like that to a team. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. Well, all right. I think that I, if you want to get off, you can get off later. I am going to do this the way that I feel like it should go predictively, and then I'm going to do one where I do stuff that is just kind of me playing off of the things are going to get weird at some point. And I will tell you that my weird pick for this pick is not going to be Mason Graham. Or is not going to be Genty, it might be Mason Graham. Maybe it shouldn't be, but maybe the reason the Jags don't take Mason Graham is because Mason Graham doesn't make it to them. I don't disagree with you. I think it's more likely that they try to trade back here. But again, we run into the problem of if you're trying to trade back, you need a partner that is willing to move up. And I feel like the team that would be most willing to move up for Abdul Carter is the Panthers. Correct. Correct. So it's, I mean, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. Well, that's really the problem that we're talking about is like what happens with a team that what teams actually have the ability to make a move up and give up future draft capital and things like that for a guy that they actually think is going to come in and be a productive member of their team. Is it really the Falcons? Are they ready yet? It doesn't really feel like it. Is it the Cowboys? I don't know. Is it the Colts? Doesn't really feel like it. Like, and the further you work back, like, yeah, if the Packers wanted to move up for Abdul Carter, sure, that makes sense. They would be filling a good need for him to an extent. The Lions moving up would be crazy, but like, how much would they have to give up to do that? Yeah, yeah, Buccaneers would make sense, but again, what's the cost to jump from 17 or 19 to 2 or 3? Like, so Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So anyway, for the sake of this first mock, we're gonna go Abdul Carter, and we'll reevaluate when we get down later. The Patriots picking at 4, I do think is another trade spot. Again, maybe it's somebody trying to jump the Jaguars for Mason Graham. Maybe it's a team trying to jag the Jaguars or jump the Jaguars now to take their offensive weapon of choice. I think they take Will Campbell if they stick here. All signs point to that. It's a variable player. It's whatever, you know. Right. Rip. Rest in peace. And now it doesn't look that high anymore, but yeah. That's fair. Yeah. I could also see Genty, frankly. I don't think Mason Graham goes to the Patriots personally with the amount that they invested in what's his face? Who's the DT for the Eagles that I can't think of? Thank you. Neville Gallimore got stuck in my head and was like, why is that a name that I'm thinking of? Yeah, I think that's why, and I just couldn't get past it. um, right. Damn it, the team that I want to trade up with them is a team that I don't think would ever trade with them. And that's what's pissing me off. So last week I had them trading down with the Bears, who traded up for Genty. Yeah, I basically talked about that. They did enough in the offseason that they can afford to play around with their draft capital. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Bears have any real hope at this point of sticking at 10 and getting him. Um, No. No, I'm gonna do some dumb shit instead. The Jets are on the clock. The Jets are on the clock. They gave up their first and their second this year for this pick and pick 77. Nope. They're taking Tyler Warren. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think the Jets actually trade with the Patriots on draft day and move up 3 spots? Probably not, because I feel like how often do the Jets and Patriots trade with each other? But we have two different first-time GMs for both organizations, or is this just Vrabel basically running the Patriots again? I forget. But either way, like, you have new blood in both organizations. Obviously, you have Mooley coming over from Denver. And then I think the Patriots... Right. Elliott Wolf, who was with the Browns in some capacity. So I don't think he's technically first time. But, yeah, I just think that it's... You have enough new blood. Right. You have enough new blood that I think you can see some different things happen. I think it was Pete Schrager that said, basically, I don't trust anything that the Patriots are saying right now because when Elliott Wolf was in Cleveland, he was part of the contingent that told Schrager that it was going to be Darnold to the Browns. And his only mock that he does every year is the day before the draft, and he had Darnold going 1 overall. Wound up being Baker Mayfield, so he was like, I don't trust anything that I hear coming out of New England right now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bang. I like it. Jaguars are maybe a little bit mad that Tyler Warren just went. They don't get to roll out their Penn State 12 personnel. Dude, I still want to take Mason Graham here. I know I shouldn't, but I still want to do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm doing it. I will tell you, on my spicy predictive one that we do after this, I will probably not be giving Mason Graham. But I'm going to do it here because it still feels like the most chalky thing that I could see happening. Hmm. I will say my percentage chance of it happening has dropped from like 95% confidence to like 50 at best. I'm saying it's realistically closer to like 40, but right. But I think it's like 40 Graham and then 60 offensive player, but it's split up like 20 20 20 between Genty, Tet, and Tyler Warren, is kind of how I view it. Mason Graham is still the most likely one, but he's not, I don't know, he's not consensus enough at this point. I don't know. I don't know how to phrase what I'm trying to say, but yeah, but the tape speaks for itself, and it wasn't like he was playing in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, or like playing for, I don't know, Utah, where like he's playing in a Pac-12 defense. Like, if you can hold your own in a physical conference like the Big Ten, and not only hold your own, but carve out a niche for yourself, you are an impressive player. Right. And that could also be because he sat down and talked to the Raiders and said, "Fuck this, I'm not coming here." So, mhm, I know. Well, and right, right. They have 13 in their top 100 and 19 in their top 150. So, yeah, the point that you made still stands regardless. If you're picking with your next pick, there's a chance that you have Nolan, Grant, or Harmon fall out of the first round, which I don't think is likely, but it's possible. You have Alexander, you have Norman Law, you have Tyleek, you have Collins, and it goes back to, it just depends on the flavor of defensive tackle that you're looking for when you're looking at these guys. But like, undersized guy with whatever, like Darius Alexander has shorter arms and he's older, but like he looked really good at the Senior Bowl. So does that help him? Yes, he played at Toledo, which isn't great, but uh, where do you fall on some of those guys? And what winds up being the decision making, like the last factor that goes into deciding what you do if you're the Jaguars. Yep. Yeah. I think again. I think if the Jets trade up, or the Patriots trade back and Genty doesn't go, I could still see the Bears trading up to take Genty. Yeah. Yep. Yep. But I'm going to give the Raiders Genty instead. If he's still there at that pick, I think that is just a Pete Carroll type of guy that he's going to want. They really don't have jack shit in their backfield, and Pete Carroll is a run the ball kind of guy. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to. Okay. 32-year-old Raheem Mostert? 33. 33-year-old, sorry. 33 as of 2 weeks ago, Raheem Mostert. Happy birthday, Raheem. Listen, there's a lot of good retirement homes out there in Las Vegas. I'm sure he's going to fit in just fine once he finally decides to hang him up. But, hmm. Um, well, there's not as nice retirement homes in Tennessee, so. Sincere McCormick, Zamir White, Dylan Laube, Isaiah Spiller, and Chris Collier don't move the needle for me. And I'm sorry, Raheem Mostert at 33 doesn't either. So as much as I know that you don't want the Raiders to take Ashton Genty because you don't want to have to stop him twice a year, I can't not do it if he's on the board of the pick, and he was. So it's back over to you to decide how you're going to ruin the Raiders' entire lives. Mm. Here's your reason. DJ Glaze, that's your reason. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm. Have you seen the Seahawks? Maybe they do both. No. We were giving Membu to like the Cardinals for the longest time before he started shooting up draft boards, and I don't think we've given him to any team other than like the Jets for the last I don't know how long. Yes, you did give him to the Patriots once, because yep. But that might have been a trade back scenario too. I don't remember. And that always works out for him, too. Mm. Ooh. I like it. You're still up, by the way. Alex Leatherwood 2.0 is going to look great in silver and black. Alex Leatherwood 2.0, just because it's the Raiders, not because I think he's bad, but I'm significantly higher on Armand Membu than I was on Alex Leatherwood at any point in that whole process. I like it. It's tempting. Yeah, I like it. Oh well, yeah, yeah. That's that's a given at this point, unfortunately. But Pacers trade back and wind up doing the same thing that we both did in the mock drafts, just in a different order. Pacers get some extra capital to still draft Will Campbell. Jets give up some extra draft capital to still draft Tyler Warren. And that brings me to a difficult decision to make, because what do the Panthers want to do? I think I gave them Barron last week. I don't remember. Wait, who's everybody mocking to him? Who? Oh. Well, that's all well and good and all, but that's not who I'm going to go. I could see it, for sure. Yeah, but sometimes buzz is just buzz. Yeah. Yeah, which is fair. I don't have a problem with him going here. I'm just not going to do it because that's not what my personal prediction is. And my personal prediction is wrong, but um what which I agree. I think this is where Tet starts too, but I think that there's a different player that I feel like could play better in their scheme or fit better with them than what Tet provides. And that's why I'm going with no hype involved, one of the best players in the draft, Matthew Golden. Remember when you gave him to the Cowboys at 12 and thought it was like the craziest thing ever, and now I just gave him to the fucking Panthers at 8 the day before the draft? Thielen's not getting any younger. You know, Coker is Coker. I mean, I think at worst, if Thielen retires at the end of the season, you could slide Coker into that slot role and leave Leggett and Worthy on the outside, or you could bump Worthy into a rotational, or yeah, Worthy. You know what I'm trying to say. Golden into a rotational slot type role where you just let him work out of that slot. I think that he's a plenty good player. I think the tape looks phenomenal. I have definitely given them a number of times before, and I could still see that happening because, again, we're looking at the Panthers' offense and the scheme they're trying to run, and they don't have a Mike Evans in that scheme. Somebody that can really just help Bryce Young by being a big-bodied whatever receiver. If he has the skill set. Leggett has a bigger frame, but he doesn't have the height. Like, Tet's what, 6'5", 6'4"? Is he? I thought he was 6'1". Well, our lads has him as 6'1". NFL says he's 6'3". Which again, I mean, we're splitting hairs to an extent. Right. So, anyway. That's fair. You're back up. Nope. Because they suck. Right. He's not a Micah Parsons. Right, that's what I'm saying. But he's still in between. Right. Right. Shador at plus 300. Also, Tyler Warren is 25-1 to the Jaguars, so you might want to get that in before you know. This is not gambling advice, by the way. I think I have to legally say that now. Ooh. He does. He feels like Chase Young. I don't either. But hook 'em. It's not a huge gap. Talking about him? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks. Mm-hmm. Thanks for spoiling my pick. Yep. You lose Ryan Ramczyk and you're not keeping Trevor Penning? Sign me up. On this side of the Mississippi. Thought you were going to throw Will Johnson in the ring because Will Johnson also feels like a Mickey Loomis corner. Yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Concerning. So where are you on quarterback with Derek Carr being dead? Potentially. You're gonna move Jackson Dart at 9 over Shador. Fair. Mm-hmm. I think so. Right. Well, that's not the team I'm talking about. There's another team too, beyond the Cowboys. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. The Falcons, they've got Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins for the next 4 years, so it makes sense to lock in a guy that only gets you one guaranteed year after those guys are gone, I think, based off of the history of them drafting. Shout out Arthur Blank. Shooting blanks. Shador gets to wear his dad's, old uniform. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like it. As we've already discussed, Armand Bembou is the best right tackle in the class. Saints just lost their starting right tackle, and their probably next best option to slide over and play right tackle this year. They just said that they weren't picking up his fifth-year option. Penning was playing guard for him, right? I guess he was playing tackle. That's right. So either way, you need a right tackle pretty bad, and honestly, they need just every position on their offensive line, kind of, except for left tackle. I'm okay with McCoy, and Cesar Ruiz is okay. Right, he gives you flexibility. Yep. Yep. Yeah. This is another weird one. The Jags for you is significantly easier than the Bears for me, I think, at this pick. I mean, I think if I was the Bears in the spot, I'd be really hoping I could trade down with somebody that wants to come up here for Barron or Tet. Because the guys that I probably want to draft aren't really necessarily at the top of the draft board anymore. Unless I'm going... No, they have Cole Kmet's way too good. How many years did they sign Bodie Angbo for? $3 for $48, $32 guaranteed. Mike Hall might be. You know what? I'm gonna do something stupid. I'm giving him Tet, and I know that wide receiver is not a need, but right now they're starting slot wide receivers Olamide Zaccheaus, and I feel like Tet would just be a sick like Amon Ra big slot type of receiver. And I was thinking that too. I mean, Rome basically gives you the same kind of big slot. Yeah, correct. You could cycle through. It just gives you extra flexibility, and as much as I like what the Bears did this offseason, I think Olamide Zaccheaus is a bigger weakness in an offense than DeAndre Swift at running back, if you're looking at the top three guys. Now, I will make a strong argument, because I know this is probably something you're thinking, that Genty is a significantly better add to an offense than Tet is, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but like if I'm picking between Hampton here to replace Swift and Tet to replace Olamide, I feel like I would rather have Tet to replace Olamide. Yep. 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 Yeah, I agree. And again, when I'm looking at running back, they have two picks at the top of the second round, basically 39 and 41, something like that. So they have the ability to still get a running back there. I wouldn't reach for one, but again, with two stabs there, there's still a chance. Correct. He's serviceable. He is more serviceable than Olamide Zaccheaus is in my mind. I didn't know that Bill Murray played for them. That's interesting. Anyway. What are you going to have the Jaguars do at 10? Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's go. This is like Malik Willis 2.0. Hey, what did he do with the Packers this year? All he needed was a good coach. by the way, is the same argument that you were just having for what the Bears are going to be picking at 10 and on the other side. So, and I'm sure that's because you expect them to have a similar usage portfolio in the Jaguars offense to what we're looking at what they would be doing in the Bears offense. Not good. They're not good. They're fine for what he's doing, but yeah. Hmm. Right. Yep. Right. If we're talking about Brenton Strange versus a Mason Taylor or a Terrence Ferguson, I know you would, but like it's it's a different conversation. My brother just pulled Chase Utley. My brother just pulled Chase Utley. Hey, you got Randy. I don't want to hear it. Hmm. Let's see. No, Randy goes for significantly more. 136 buy now, 130 sell now. Utley is 73.63, so anyway. You Niners. Mm, I like it. And I'm going Kelvin Banks. Anyway, you can talk about your pick before I talk about mine. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm looking at a team that needs guard and tackle, and I'm taking a guy that can play guard and tackle at I think a high level. Um, Also, if we look back at our first 11 picks so far, 9 of our 11 players have crossed over in some capacity. So far, you have not had a receiver go, and I've had Golden and Tet go, and then you had Loveland and Jalen Walker go. But other than that, the 9 other players that we have been the same. So, and again, what does that say about our ability to predict this class when we already talked about nothing's chalk, everything's going to be weird, and so far we've had more similarities than differences, which isn't objectively a bad thing. It just right. It's just a different conversation to start having. I don't know that the Cowboys put themselves in a situation here with 2 wide receivers off the board. I think if Tet or Golden hadn't already gone, I could see one going here. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't take Igbukith. They could. But I mean, I might as well just do something else that lines up with the pick that you've already made. You know, just for consistency's sake. And Micah hasn't signed an extension, correct? Am I making that up? So, you know, we've already talked about this. He's closer to Micah than he is the other guys that we talked about. Let's just send Jalen Walker to boot camp in Dallas. %. And again, it would be really sick if they could do similar things with Micah Parsons, where they can drop into coverage when they need to, but also have the ability to have him blitz and have those disguised pressures, but doing it with both sides. And a team is just never able to identify, hey, Micah Parsons sitting right over here. You have to look for both players to do weird stunt type pressures and whatever else. It's something that, I'll put it this way, it doesn't feel like a Cowboys pick because it feels too good to be a Cowboys pick, but as Jerry pointed out today, the Cowboys have drafted fairly well. They have the most Pro Bowl appearances, I believe, by first rounders of any team in the 2000s. Steelers are second, something like that. Mind you, I don't think the Steelers have drafted very well in the past however many years, but that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, that's the pick. Yep. 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 Be right. $60-40? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can see the Chargers doing it. Right, but also, I mean, how many mock drafts have we seen collectively where the Chargers take Loveland and Loveland's now off the board for you, and they're staring down at a world where they walk away from the first round without getting a big framed wide receiver that can actually catch the ball. Because they do have a fairly big framed wide receiver already. He just doesn't have the ability to catch. So he's more of what I would call a big framed runner than a big framed wide receiver. But maybe hey, listen, maybe Quentin Johnston's going to turn into the next Cordero Patterson, and they're just going to start putting him in the backfield and handing the ball off to him because Also, it's not like he's that good with the ball in his hands, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, that's probably the next team that I'm really looking at that it would be a big thing like that. Like, yeah, obviously the Broncos could move up and take a guy like McMillan. I think that would fit a Sean Payton offense pretty well. But I feel like they would be more content just sitting and waiting and hoping that Egbuka gets to him at wide receiver instead, and that is not a significant enough difference in what they would be looking for, that they would just be okay with that. I think they like Luther Burden as wide receiver one, but that's neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. No, they don't. They have Ifeatu Melifonwu, who's the fucking goat. I like it. Too bad that they have Cam Smith already and they're the same player, so. So I think that the Dolphins are looking to move Jalen Ramsey, and they probably don't keep him on the team, so they're probably looking to take a cornerback here. So who better to replace Jalen Ramsey than Jalen Ramsey 2.0 and Will Johnson? We got to do something different. Otherwise, we had 11 of the 12 picks. That's the same. Oops. Um. Hmm. No, that's fair. So Tyler Warren's made it to the Colts a handful of times in these mocks, and we've given it to him, and I still don't hate that. I think that he is a better player than 14. He maybe isn't 4, but it's just tough to see where a tight end goes. If it's not to a team like the Jets or the Jags, where does he fall then? And again, I don't disagree with you. The Bears could have taken him. Maybe the Bears are more inclined to take Colson Loveland because, again, we talked about they're looking for that big frame wide receiver. But I think that you're crazy if you don't think that Ben Johnson would love to have a former quarterback recruit playing tight end for him. Like the amount of bullshit that he would scheme up for Tyler Warren specifically in that offense to run basically like wildcat plays and tight end passes, double passes and shit like that. Like I feel like he would just cook. Which again, maybe that's not the case. We've never seen Ben Johnson as a head coach before. There's a lot of times that we've seen good offensive coordinators suck as head coaches because they have more on their plates and they have to kind of take a step back in that role. So maybe that is something that happens there, and we kind of see it fall off the table a little bit. But Colts and Loveland, is sitting right here. Fills a pretty big need for the Colts, I think. Yeah, I saw Bengal tweet that earlier. So, Colts and Loveland it is. This is our Loveland, this is our team. This is our Colts and this is our team. We Loveland, Generic praise band.deck. Back-to-back Michigan players, too. Anyway, over to you. You also just had back-to-back Texas players. I had back-to-back Penn State players earlier when I had Carter Warren, so... Yeah. So am I. Alright, hold on. I'm going to let you talk about this. And I'm going to leave the screen up, but I need to run to the bathroom. Tyler Booker to the Colts. Yeah. I don't know if you saw or not, but I scrolled down. As soon as I got to the Colts, I scrolled down to Tyler Booker and clicked on him first. Yeah. And then I came back to Gray Zabel, but I figured that you were going to go with one of those two guys. Just because. Mm-hmm. Yep, they do. No, I mean, you're not wrong. All right. Yeah, but again, this doesn't mean anything. I have no idea how accurate Peter Schrager's mock drafts are, but he had the Cowboys taking him at 12. So, I mean, you're not wrong, but there's a world, and I looked at that and I was like, honestly, I could see it. So, if the Cowboys are going to consider him there, and also, by the way, let's not beat around the bush. Oh, well, that's because it's the Cowboys, sure. What the frick have the Colts done recently in the draft? Like, you can't really give them the pass of not being the Cowboys when they've arguably drafted worse than the Cowboys have. Anyway. You're still up. As Raku. I agree, and that's why they're going to take Amari Hampton here at 15. Yep. Well, I'm going to start talking about that pretty soon. I'm just going to say that, but. I like it. This is you, right? Who do I have that you don't? Barron. Is that it at this point? Barron and somebody. Who do I have that you don't have? Barron and Booker, I guess. Did I had who else then? There's got to be somebody else that I'm missing. Oh, you have Tet and Will Johnson. That's right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, Once again, I understand they don't take edges. I'm going to give them an edge, and I don't care. it's hard for me to not give him Mike Green. Shamar is interesting to me. Yeah. He's interesting. I was going to say he's not there, correct. He's not a Falcons edge rusher. Ezraku is probably who they would go, but I'm giving them Mike Green just because I feel like he's the better player. I know that there's the character concerns with him, and they are similar enough, but I think Mike Green's a better run defender, and I just feel like that's more valuable, especially if teams are going to get back to running the ball more, which we saw last year. If, we're banning cover 2 because quarterbacks can't make reads against it, then maybe I feel differently about that, but, the 2 deep safety look is an abomination for the NFL, even though it's the easiest coverage to beat in Madden, but that's neither here nor there. What do you mean? Jags are trying to trade up for Travis Hunter. That's interesting. It's very interesting. 24 hours, by the way. 35 minutes ago, 24 hours to go. Sorry, now I'm just scrolling because I have... By the way, Jalen Walker and Daniel Jeremiah's last mock draft had Jalen Walker at 5 to the Jaguars. Sorry, in his last mock before his final mock, he had him at 5. And in his final one, he had him going at 15 to the Falcons. Also, Will Johnson does not go in the first round of Daniel Jeremiah's final mock draft. Jackson Dart goes to the Giants in a trade up at 18 with the Seahawks. No Walter Nolan, no Josh Simmons, and Nick Noah Emmanwori in the first round for Daniel Jeremiah's final mock draft. Yeah, and more plugged in. Yep, good thing we're doing another one after this. Speaking of Walter Nolan, does anybody else remember a very talented defensive lineman from the University of Mississippi who everybody thought was going to go way higher than he did, and then he slid due to some character concerns, who wound up in the CFL and got drafted by the Cardinals? Welcome back, Robert Kamdichi. Yep. Mm-hmm. But he could. Maybe the Cardinals trade for Jalen Ramsey on draft night. Well, let's just look through that. Let's just look through that real quick. We have time. Let's do the little spicy John thing tomorrow. We can do that if we go live around 7 again. We have an hour before the draft starts, right? 6 for you, 7 for me. So we can do our little spicy mock draft tomorrow if we wanted to. All right. So he has Ward at 1, Carter at 2. Hold on, this can't be the final one, right? Hold on. That's what okay, I'm confused. How is this the final? This is from March 18th. Am I stupid or dumb? Oh, it's on NFL Network. Okay. Well, then let's come back to that at a later point in time. I feel like every year they draft a guy that is similar to Micah Williams that I like a good amount, and he just doesn't wind up panning out to the level that they would want him to. But like Darius Robinson, they had Cam Thomas. Right. Honestly, is Josh Sweat smaller than I'm remembering? Right. Right. I just feel like Josh Sweat fills that role for him. Too. Like they would put BJ Ojolari as the stand-up edge, and have Josh Sweat as that hybrid wide nine hand in the dirt type guy. I don't know. Right. Right. I have thoughts about that, but that's neither here nor there. I feel like if you're doing that, then I would just take either one of the A&M guys, or it may be too early for Derek Harmon, but like that feels like a Derek Harmon type role too. If you want, yeah. I mean, stud. Stud. Don't forget about Owen Papo, your boy. Wow. Before Will Johnson, before Trey Amos, before Benjamin Morrison. Mm. It's fair. Right. Yep. Yeah. Could be the missing link for Gannon. Hmm. Hmm. Yep. You missed my Legend of Zelda pun. I'm a little upset. Said it could be the missing link for Ganon. uh, See, it makes sense that he's coaching the Cardinals because he is the Ganon dwarf now. We'll be right back. Yeah, I think I'm getting DDoS right now. Yes, this is you. Correct. I like it. I don't think. I don't think I can pass up on Baron here, can I? I just feel like they are missing, and again, I know they need the edge, they need defensive line, they need something in that realm. I get that. They need it desperately badly. Yes, okay. I guess a better way of me putting it is when I'm looking at the Bengals defense, since they lost what's his face? Steelers legend Mike Hilton. I feel like they need somebody to do something in that role. I think he does too, but I think that he also gives you. Well, DJ Turner was the second round too. I don't remember. Why would I want second? Turner was drafted 60th overall. No, it's the cornerback. I clicked on the wrong one first. Because I looked at DJ Turner, and I don't know why it gave me that one, but it did. No, I wanted Juan Drago. Did you know that DJ Turner's real name is Juan Drago? I think Dax Hill is too, though, isn't he? I guess they have the 5th-year option with him. If I had Mike Green on the board, I would probably lean that direction. But I could see them going, yes. I could see them going Shamar. I feel it's just kind of the same thing that you're talking about with Tet. He's slipping too far for me, and I think that even though he may not be a top need, I think that it's too much value for me to pass up on if I'm the Bengals, personally. So that's the direction I'm going in. The Seahawks is so tough, dude, because like they should take Ray Zabel, right? Like this shouldn't be a conversation. They should do. Donald. Mikey McDingus. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Right. Yeah, especially because they signed Dexter Lawrence, so they don't need that anymore, you know. Well, see, that was the exact conversation I was going to have. When I'm looking at their wide receiver core, if Tet is there, you're basically just replacing DK with DK in a way, but like extending the years on his contract, whatever. Yeah, it's not the same player. I think Tet, yeah, I was going to say Tet's the more complete receiver. DK has more athleticism, but Tet is, you're getting him for another 4 years rather than saying, okay, we have to extend him after 1. Correct. Correct. And you have 2 second-round picks where if you feel like you need to move up to take a interior offensive lineman, you have the flexibility to do that. Yep. Correct. 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 Which is why I'm going to do it personally. It just feels like it's the best fit. Yes, they could go edge. They could go... Right. And I honestly, I would have considered going Barron for them if I hadn't given Barron to the Bengals, just because I feel like he's another piece Like Kobe Bryant doesn't really move the needle for me. Josh Jobe doesn't really move the needle for me. I know that they have Witherspoon playing in the nickel right now, but like he could bump back to the outside, in my opinion, and you have just a defensive weapon. But when I'm looking at the offense, like Olu probably shouldn't be starting. But I have more faith in him starting right now, in my opinion, than Satoa Lamea or Anthony Bradford. So, you know, and again, we've talked about this before, Gray Zabel can play center. So, either way, I still think you're getting the best of all three worlds at the pick. I do too. But then you bump Olu to guard, and at that point, you still have, either way, I think that Gray's, yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Gray Zabel gives you the opportunity to put your best five on the field and whatever conglomeration that winds up being. And if an injury happens, great, he can bump around. That's really funny, actually. I like it. Yep. Uh, yeah. An update, by the way. James Pierce Jr., Will Johnson, Walter Nolan, Josh Simmons, Mike Green, Luther Burden all did not go in the first round of the final mock draft of 2025 for Mike Green, Walter Nolan, James Pierce Jr., Will Johnson, Josh Simmons, and Luther Burden all did not go in the first. Yep, that's exactly what it is. If you have character concerns or injury concerns, you're going to fall, is what Daniel Jeremiah is saying. Yeah, there comes a point where it's hard to ignore the obvious upside. Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's really hard for me to not give Ezeraku to the Buccaneers. I don't think. Right. I assume so. Broncos traded up for Colson Loveland with the Dolphins. Okay, here's the full final mock. Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3, Will Campbell 4, Janty 5, Kelvin Banks 6. hold on. So literally 1 through 6. Oh wait, no, I guess not. Okay, yeah. You had 1 through 5 correct. You just had the Bears trading up. Membu to the Jets, Graham to the Panthers, Michael Williams to the Saints, Tyler Warren to the Bears, Gray Zabel at 11. Tet to the Cowboys, Loveland to the Broncos, Shamar Stewart at 14, Walker to the Falcons. Ezeraku goes to the Bengals. Again, the Giants trade up to get Jackson Dart. Golden to the Bucks. Malachi Starks goes at 20 to the Dolphins. That's interesting. Shador to the Steelers. Henderson to the Chargers. Hairston to the Packers. Derek Harmon goes to the Vikings. Tyler Booker to the Texans, which we talked about. I don't love that fit, but neither here nor there. Hampton to the Rams. Amarian Rampton. Grant to the Ravens. Yep. Donovan Jackson to the Lions. Barron falls all the way to 29. Yep. Connerly and then Jihad Campbell to the freaking Eagles at 32. Broncos give up pick 20 and pick 51 for pick 13 and pick 116. I actually don't hate that. Right. Right. Pick 34 and next year's second was the trade from the Giants to the Seahawks to get Dart. I would do that 100 times out of 100. Yep. Am I up or you up? I'm up. I'm up with the Buccaneers still. I haven't picked yet. I think I have to give him Ezeraku. I can't not give him Ezeraku. But I could give him Buka because I haven't technically picked yet. Listen where they're going and just to see what 32 players are getting drafted because he tends to hit. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. Which I think Schrager typically does too, which is another one that is interesting to look at his just to see what's happening. Broncos are going Luther Burden here, and you're going to be happy about it. I'm just kidding. It's just kidding. It's not going to happen. Broncos are taking Gray Zabel. Broncos are taking Kevin Winston Jr. You can have have your boy, your wide receiver 1. Yep. Little Ohio State wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Well, you're also looking at a guy who you would have at least in the same tier as your wide receiver 1, because I feel like you have Golden, Ibuka, and Tet all rated similarly. They do completely different things, but as far as how you have them rated, they all are similar in the same tier. Whereas with running back, you have Genty at 1, and then you have a gap between Travion and Hampton. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. It's too early. I don't remember. fourth overall. Right. Yeah. Mm. Mhm. Mhm. It's your pick. Well, Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. Who did the Giants trade up for? It wasn't Shador. Hmm. Well, did we get past the Russell Wilson bullshit? Hmm. Mm. No, it kind of sounds like it. I want us to trade this pick. Going to in this mock draft just for the sake of it. I think we can pick up a third round pick or a second round pick from next year from the Vikings to move up a couple spots. That's why I said next year. They have all their picks for next year and an extra sixth. I could see a team. I guess the point I'm making is I could see a team moving up for Starks. I could see a team moving up for Campbell. I could see a team maybe moving up for Hampton. Actually, what about Commanders also don't really have picks this year, or next year. They traded too much. I guess I just have to stick a pick. I'm just going to take the guy who was going to force it myself anyway. I'm just going to take Derek Harmon at 21. It's probably not a great prediction because predictably I probably should be taking Sanders because I think that's what's going to happen. I really want Derek Harmon to be the pick. I think we wind up with Rodgers after the draft. I think Rodgers is waiting for us to draft. If we draft Shedeur in the first round, I think Rodgers retires. I think if Rodgers is going to sign with us, he's kind of waiting to see what happens in the draft first. I think that it's just an ego thing. I don't think he wants to have to actually compete to start. I don't either, but I think that I would rather be getting... Honestly, what I would really love to do is trade back with a team like the Bears and just take both of their second-round picks for them to move up and take Starks. But I've already made the pick, so it's too late for that. But I think value-wise it's not terrible. It depends on... Again, I have given the Bears... Also, by the way, the Bears could be trading up for a running back to do the same thing. They could be taking Henderson or they could be taking Hampton. I saw a mock draft earlier where the Bears took Hampton at 10 as a power complement to DeAndre Swift's whatever else he can do. I could also see them keeping DeAndre Swift as the power element to TreVeyon Henderson's whatever he can do. Or, like I said, they could be coming up for Starks because I've given them Watts I don't know how many times now, and it just tends to be something that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. Chargers is a tough one. I'm not giving them Burden. I think he's ass. And he should feel bad about himself and all the decisions he's made in his life to this point. You want to talk about a burden? Haha. Kenneth Grant, though, you know. Kenneth Grant feels solid. Mykel Williams also feels solid. I still haven't had him go. As a Joey Bosa replacement? Joey Bosa replacement or Kenneth Grant? Let me look at their roster real quick. They got Tuli last year, which is kind of their Joey Bosa replacement. They have Deshaun Hand, Teair Tart, and Otito Ogbonnia. But, like, Khalil Mack's how old now? 34. Bud Dupree's got to be 32. Yep. Do they have the same birthday? Oh, no. 10 days apart. That's really weird. Also, by the way, I could see them just taking safety. Derwin seems to be missing games every year. Whether that's due to suspension or injury. Yep. Alohi Gilman is their starting free safety right now. I'm just gonna lock it in. They're gonna take Mykel Williams. That's my pick. I don't love it, but I like it enough. Mm-hmm. like it. I thought you were gonna have him move up for Zabel, but it's crazy. You said that about Will Johnson 10 picks ago, so. Mm-hmm. Right. It's fair. Packers are a weird one. Packers are answering the phone from somebody who's trying to get back into the first round, I think. I think he had the Vikings take a pick. Yeah, they picked Derek Harmon. No, I get that. He's he's not on my board anymore, so at this point I feel like somebody's got to be coming up for a quarterback sometime soon. Correct. Correct. I have Shador, I have Milroe, and I have Dart, and I think any of those three guys could be something that a team is looking to come up for. Yeah? I can see it. Alright, I'm going to give a shout out to my boy, my coworker, who said the Browns are getting Shador some way, somehow. They move up 10 picks. They give up Buffalo's pick 94 to get back into the first round, pick up that fifth-year option. That's probably an overpay, but it doesn't matter. We're doing a one-round mock, so there's probably more intricacies later on, pick swaps, whatever, but Shador gets his receiver back. Travis Hunter gets his quarterback back. And that takes us to the Vikings, who also trade back as the Giants pick up the phone to move up another 10 picks. And they give up pick 99. Again, we're not worried about it right now. The Giants take Ole Miss quarterback of the future, Jackson Dart, who's going to sit and learn from one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation, Jameis Winston, and be ready to go next year when all of the Giants quarterbacks' contracts are cooked. I think. Hold on. Let me look this up. Russell Wilson is a free agent after the season. Jameis Winston is under contract for $5 million next year. And Tommy DeVito is a restricted free agent. So, Jameis Winston you bring back for $5 million. That's good money for a backup. It gives you a year to sit Jackson Dart. And frankly, Jameis Winston has proven that he is a start-to-bowl player. If you're paying him $5 million, why not? You could have him start in 2026 and not have to feel too bad about it. Dart might need a couple years of development. Again, we've talked about this. I have no idea what the hell the Giants are doing with their GM and head coach situation. You can make an argument that this move to move up back into the first doesn't help them win now. My argument would be Abdul Carter does. so it gives them a little bit of flexibility to do that. Um, Maybe Jackson Dart slips out of the first round. Again, is there another team right now that's looking to move up back into the first round to get a quarterback? That we're looking here in these top few picks. Titans obviously aren't going to be the team to do it. Jaguars aren't. The Patriots aren't. But the Raiders still could. I could see the Saints trying to move back up. You know? I just figured, you wanted to put them on the block, so I figured you would be, you know, yeah. Wait. Oh shit! It was supposed to be. Yep. Nope. I'm just an idiot. You were supposed to pick, so you get 3 picks in a row. Nope. Nope. I just spazzed out after you made the trade with the. Hmm. Hmm. That's fair. Hmm. Yep. I like it. He took Grant, right? Yeah. Texans. Which again, it's really tough for me to not give them Josh Simmons. I get what you're saying, looking at it and seeing all the players that they have that they probably don't want to move on from. But I mean, do you want to cut these guys? No, but you can keep them still as depth. Like, does Trent Brown need to make the team? Does Ed Ingram need to make the team? Does Laken Tomlinson need to make the team? Does Jerome Carvin need to make the team? No. So, yes, you don't want to give up on these guys completely, but you could just bump them to a non-starting role if you have somebody else that is a startable player over them. So I'm just going to take Simmons. I think that he is the best left tackle on the board at this point. And, you know, they just need anything. They need anything at any position. So, you know, if they wanted to play him at right tackle, they could. But they need to address that pretty desperately, in my mind. I think your situation is different though in your mock draft. I don't have a Guga there, so you know it's you had more option. I'm not taking burden to them, so I'm not giving them Higgins. I'm not giving them, you know. So there really isn't a wide receiver fit. They need a wide receiver, but if one of the top three isn't there, I don't think that they would do it. They need offensive line. Would be Donovan Jackson. Do I still have Booker? Oh damn, I didn't think I did. I'm giving the rate. I'm giving the Rams Jahad Campbell. I feel like they'd be looking more for an actual tackle than, which he could be. I just don't think that he would be it as well. Darius Williams, Akello Witherspoon, Quentin Lake. Compared to Troy Reader, Omar Speights. So we're doing. it's either that or they get Shamar Stewart or Malachi Starks. So. Or Gray Zabel. You just want to do it so you can see that. Yep. That was the other person. I said Shamar or Starks too. It's okay. I wish I didn't. That they've always made a trade. It was 4 of the last 5, by the way. Yep. And in 2022, they moved up with the Ravens to take Kaiir Elam. Yep. I'm taking pick 136 back too, because that feels like too much. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. It's fine. As soon as we made that trade, a trade popped up, like a team was interested in moving up, and it's the frickin' Ravens wanting to move up. PFF blows. Well, I can't see them trading back and then trading back up to the same pick. No, I'm saying on PFF right now, when we were picking for the Ravens, no team wanted to move up. We moved up with the Bills, and then the Ravens decided they wanted to move up. Stupid. Sub 100 mil. I like it. I'm back up, right? The Ravens. Nick Emenwari. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also feels hard for me. No, it's not. They take Shamar Stewart. Yeah. They need an edge rusher. They just like having those big, athletic kind of guys. You have a very consistent run defender and whatever else on the opposite side in Aiden Hutchinson. So you have flexibility that if Shamar Stewart needs a little bit of time to develop, you still have a very established guy on the opposite side. And Shamar Stewart defended the run amazingly last year. I think they have him slimmed down a little bit, but having the 6'6" is still big. And just seems like the kind of guy that the Lions would want to have if he seems like a kneecap biter. Yep. I was already clicking it before you said it. George Pickens has unfollowed the Steelers on Instagram. George Pickens has unfollowed the Steelers on Instagram. Man. Mm-hmm. You mean Dan Quinn, I'm assuming? Yep. That's who I was thinking about having them take when I was thinking about having them trade up with the Steelers, so that makes you feel better about your pick. Which means I'm giving him Hampton, in case that wasn't clear. Follow. Is there like an obvious trade player? If somebody wants Milrow, they could come up for him. I just don't think it happens at this point. Right. The Jets. I think it's more likely I just stick and pick though. Amos is still, I mean, yeah, because that's worked very well for them in the past. I just feel like they take Amos over Hairston. Try Amos. Over Shamar. It feels even grosser that Shamar Stewart's going to be an Eagle, but that's neither here nor there. It's gross. Yeah. I had a weird feeling you were going to do that too. Dude, Derek Harmon's still there too, by the way, on yours. Right. Yeah, they could do that with Stewart. They could do that with Harmon. They could do that with Luther Burden. They could do that with one of the tackles. Donovan Jackson, by the way, too, if they... Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Giants trade up with the Eagles and give up their second pick and Kayvon Thibodeau for Jalen Milroe. Mm-hmm. Lock it in. I just gave him 104, it doesn't matter. But I am going to do my spicy mock on that stick to the model, because I think that even if you control the teams, it still suggests trades. So, yeah, it is me. All right. Jesus Christ, Kenneth Grant is still on the board. The Chiefs are taking Kenneth Grant. I didn't realize that. Or do I make that trade for... Seahawks gave up 50 and 52 for 32 and 96. Yep. No. The Raiders give up 37 to 108. And they take Milrow. This started off as my actual predictive one and just turned more spicy the longer we got into it. Could also get them Jaden Higgins. Give them Jaden Higgins and then they trade AJ Brown to the Patriots. Actually, honestly, they would just wait until the Patriots' next pick probably and then just trade AJ Brown for that pick straight up and then just take Higgins there. If they were going to go that route, which I'm not saying they would. I could see Connerly or Josh Simmons too still. I think that they want to have the long-term Lane Johnson answer in place at some point. Right. Mm-hmm. Also, not to swing you in a direction, but the Eagles have not had like an enforcer safety since Dawkins. And you still have E-Man there. Right. It's buried. Gordon. Norman Lott. Braden Swinson also really feels like an Eagle. No, they don't. They have Mitchell. Right. But they also added Adore. Technically, but it might be Byron Young too. It just depends on who they feel better about come week 1. But also, they have Jalex Hunt and Nolan Smith as their 2 starting outside linebackers right now. Which I know that they like those guys a good amount. Like Jalex Hunt was getting rotation snaps in the Super Bowl and looked good, but Swinson feels like an Eagle to me. Braden Swinson. It might be early, but yeah, well, it's not hard to get stuck in that big ass head. I could see Scourton too. Eamon Moore, I think, is just a fun pick. I don't know if it actually makes sense or if it's objectively the correct pick. It's just fun. That's the tricky part, though, that we talked about. There's. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's a weird scenario. It's a really weird scenario to be in for the Eagles. It's possible. Yep. Undersized 3 technique guy. He's basically exactly what you lost in Milton Williams. Well, who said it would be him? Alright, then Jack Batch. They will, but I'm just... I like it. I like it. Yep. Yep. Three Texas guys, 2 A&M guys back-to-back, by the way. 2 back-to-back A&M edge rushers to end out the draft class. Five picks. Alright, so you said you don't know for sure yet if you're going to be able to be on tomorrow for stream. Do you want to do your spicy today and then I do my spicy tomorrow, or do you just want to wait until tomorrow and hope for the best? I agree. It's more fun that way. All right. Yeah, we'll play it by ear. We can see what happens. I'm thinking I'll probably. Oh yeah, dude, same. 100%. That's why I stopped looking at it. I gave the Panthers Matthew Golden at 8. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I had Kenneth Grant fall to 31. I had Jalen Milroe go in the first round. I had, you know, Tyler Warren go at 4 overall. Anyway, all right. I think tomorrow then we'll go live with our spicy mocks back and forth. That'll probably get us to start the draft, and then I don't know what we'll do from there. But I can't show the or the actual draft, obviously, for copyright reasons. So I might just stream MLB The Show and have you in a Discord call, and we can react to the picks as they're happening live, maybe? Something like that. Maybe we'll do that one on Twitch tomorrow instead. Or the Purple app for the Twitter algorithm, you know? Alright, sweet. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this one. We were live for just over 3 hours, so it's just over an hour and a half per each of our rounds, you know? And good news is that the actual draft tomorrow is going to take even longer than that, so you think we talked for a long time? Just wait until you have to sit up there and listen to Mel Kiper talk about his top 5 prospects tomorrow. And get pissed off when Will Johnson's not taken in the top 3. So, yeah, that's still going to do it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Actual draft is here. As our good friend said, I feel like a kid on the day before Christmas, but the parents are broke, and I'm not getting what I want. So, I hope that you feel differently about that as a Broncos fan. I know I would if I was a Broncos fan, but I'm not, and I am just subject to years of pain and suffering at this point. So, yeah, but. Right. I feel like for them to actively hurt you tomorrow, it would be harder than it is easy. Yeah, I mean, Caleb Johnson over Henderson over Hampton would be probably objectively the worst thing that they could do, but I can't see it happening, like you said. So, yeah. But that's all we got for today. So, again, thank you all for coming in, hanging out today. We'll be back tomorrow, again, probably over on YouTube or Twitch tomorrow instead of YouTube. Just different audience, I don't know. But, yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. Be safe, be well.